Okay, so here's a question that I've been thinking in a video about. I think I've been doing for a while. Do salary caps work in professional sport, or do they not? Now, we can look at the NHL, NFL, NRL, major sports that don't have relegation, and yes, the salary cap works. To a point, it gives parity because there's going to be a set amount of teams, and it's going to be the same teams year on year that compete in the league. So the NRL, since the salary cap has been brought in, if you compare it to Super League, I did a video on this, the NRL versus Super League, 12 different sides have won the grand final since the NRL was formed in '98. Super League, 4 teams have won the Super League grand final in the same period of time. But because Super League has relegation in it, the salary cap is not as enforceable. And the parity isn't there because the teams coming up from the division below, just don't have the financial resources and the financial backing to then sign the big name players, etc., etc. And they can't financially compete anyway. So there's flaws in the system in Super League. People have been asking and posing the question that the English Football Premier League, or Soccer Premier League if you're American or Australian, should that have a salary cap? Because obviously the insane transfers that take place these days and the amount of money that the big teams have and the small teams can't compete and break the bank trying to compete and get relegated or have financial difficulties, it's not enforceable. It can't be. Do you know why it can't be? Because we have a promotion relegation system in European football. The MLS doesn't. So it's enforceable in the MLS because there's a set amount of teams in the structure. There is no promotion relegation, so a team that can be appalling one year can trade players with the other teams, make a better side, be competitive the year after. However, we have seen that salary caps have been regularly breached. Now, the NRL has had some prime examples with Melbourne, Canterbury, Parramatta and the New Zealand Warriors. All of them have had high-profile breaches of the salary cap. Some have had points docked, sometimes whole seasons have been docked, massive fines, etc., because they haven't obeyed by the rules. The thing is, almost every club, apart from the Newcastle Knights, is basically either just below or at the cap, or might be trying to circumvent it somehow with various means, third-party payments, etc. In the NHL, there is a way around the cap by putting someone on the long-term injury reserve. That means that player's salary, or salary, going forward for the season or for the whole contract is eaten, and it doesn't count towards the salary cap. And there's prime examples across the whole league of this happening. Some players will never play again because of such severe injuries, but they have contracts that might be a year, 2, 3, 5, sometimes as long as 8 years long. They've signed, they've got injured, they're not going to play again. 1 or 2 players, including Joffrey Lupul, who's an ice hockey player, has been very vocal about how this is breaking the rules. And he is fit to play, but because his salary is so big, the team that he plays for, the Toronto Maple Leafs, are deliberately keeping him from playing, so his salary is not on the cap, so they can then sign other star players to big money. So there are flaws in the system, but it only works if there is literally a set number of teams in that pyramid at that level and there is no promotion relegation. And even then, there are loopholes. Injured reserve, long-term in IR, right, is a way to circumvent it in the North American pro sports. The NRL, that might be a solution to certain teams hitting the cap, because now Josh Hodgson has blown his knee up and Kurt Baptiste is going back to the UK to play the Super League. They don't actually have a starting hooker, and Hodgson's on big money and they're at the cap because they sorted out their contracts when they were under the impression that the salary cap was actually going to be higher. The NRL fluffed that one up, so now they have this conundrum with a star player out on big money and they need someone to replace him, but they are constrained because the approximation of the salary cap was different to the actual reality for the following season. So there's various different types. There's a soft cap, hard cap, and there have been strikes, player action, and that is where the players' associations, the owners, and the leagues themselves have these constant meetings, and that's where there's been NHL lockouts. So the money as well, and salaries, and money, revenue sharing. When salary caps are brought in, they're meant to bring cost certainty and make the whole league more competitive. So the have-nots can actually be the haves as well, and it also means it makes the sport more exciting because players, may not be franchise players anymore. They might have to move around a lot. The thing is, if you look at the English Premier League, and this is what's really interesting, Leeds United win the last ever old Division 1 title. They have not won a trophy since. Here are the list of Premier League champions: Manchester United, Blackburn Rovers, Arsenal, Chelsea, Manchester City, Leicester City. There's only 6 teams that have won the league. 6. Since the Premier League came about, and that's been over a 26 year period. 6 teams have won the league. So there could be an argument for a salary cap there. Only one of those teams was a have-not, and that was Leicester City. The rest all were some of the wealthiest clubs at the time in English football, or currently. So there is a debate whether we should have it or not. But I want to hear what your thoughts are. Does it work? Does it not work? Hard cap, soft cap, no cap, phased in. Does it also go hand in hand with like trade deadlines, transfer deadlines, transfer windows? Because we're having that debate as well. Just want to hear your thoughts. It goes alongside the refereeing consistency as well, because that is also important. It also goes hand in hand because big refereeing decisions can have financial implications for clubs. Thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll have some more videos for you soon.